I sit at the mahogany dining table, the one that has witnessed every Sullivan family drama for decades. Evening light slants through the windows, catching on my mother's wedding ring as she twists Eat a nervous tell I've been watching since childhood. The familiar scent of lemon furniture polish mingles with my father's cologne. Tyler doesn't bother looking up from his phone. At 30, my brother has perfected the art of appearing disinterested in family emergencies while somehow remaining the central focus of them. My father clears his throat and slides a document across the polished surface. It's due next week, $9,200, same as last year. The property tax bill, of course. I recognize the county letterhead immediately, the same one I've been seeing twice yearly for the past 6 years. I reach for my checkbook with practiced resignation. The motion is so familiar it feels choreographed. Dad slides bill. I write check. Everyone pretends this is normal. Just another performance in the Sullivan family theater. My father shifts in his seat, causing a stack of papers to slide from his leather portfolio. My eyes catch on bold text. Trust fund. My hand freezes mid-signature. 6 years flash through my mind in vivid snapshots. The vacation home they could barely afford to keep but somehow wouldn't sell. The medical bills that weren't covered by insurance. Tyler's car payments while he found himself through 3 different careers. Family vacations I funded as gifts because I was the successful one who could afford it. I reach for the document before my father can snatch it away. His fingers graze mine as he tries and fails to grab it first. Jenna, that's private. The blood in my veins turns to ice water as I read, $400,000 Sullivan Family Trust beneficiary, Tyler Sullivan. $400,000. While I've been draining my savings to keep them afloat, my mind calculates with the precision that made me a senior investment analyst. Property taxes, $55,000. Tyler's car payments, $32,000. Mom's medical expenses, $28,000. Family vacations I never got to enjoy, $10,000. $125,000 over 6 years. $125,000 while they had a trust fund for Tyler. My hands tremble, the paper quivering between my fingers. Mom's eyes drop to the table in silent confirmation. The shame radiating from her posture tells me everything I need to know. Tyler finally looks up from his phone. Confusion flickers across his face, then morphs into something more troubling: guilt. He knows. He's always known. You were never supposed to see that. My father's voice sounds strange, hollow, and hard simultaneously. I try to swallow, but my throat constricts. And you were never supposed to lie to me for 6 years. The chair scrapes against hardwood as I stand. The sound rings through the room like a warning bell. I look down at the property tax check, my signature half completed. With one fluid motion, I tear it in half, then quarters, then eighths. The pieces flutter to the table like confetti. Silence stretches between us, thick enough to choke on. My father's face reddens that dangerous shade I recognized from childhood when things weren't going his way. After everything we've done for you? A laugh escapes me, too sharp to be humorous. What exactly have you done for me? The question hangs in the air, unanswerable. I gather my purse and keys with deliberate calm. The walls of this house suddenly feel too close. The family portraits on the walls like strangers watching an intruder. Where are you going? My mother's voice wavers. Jenna, please. I'm going home. The words taste foreign and true simultaneously. This house hasn't been home for a long time. Tyler stands, reaching toward me. Sis, wait. I step back, avoiding his touch. Don't. My father remains seated, hands flat on the table beside the torn check, as if he can somehow hold his crumbling control in place, through sheer force of will. You'll regret this, he says, the threat thinly veiled. I pause at the doorway, turning back to face the 3 of them, these people who share my blood, but have become strangers. No, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. I regret the 6 years I spent believing family meant something different to you than a checkbook. The door closes behind me with a decisive click, and for the first time in years, I breathe freely. Numbers don't lie. That's what I tell my clients every day. And now I'm reminding myself as I stare at 3 monitors in my apartment, each screen filled with spreadsheets that tell a story no one in my family wanted revealed. Blue light bathes my face in the darkness. It's 2:18 a.m. I've been at this for hours, transferring data from my banking app to organize columns that grow longer with each entry. 6 years of transactions, meticulously categorized and color-coded. My phone buzzes against the glass coffee table. Again, the 7th time in the past hour. I don't need to look to know it's my family's names, lighting up the screen with increasingly desperate messages I refuse to read. This is. Marion trails off, leaning forward in my ergonomic desk chair I've offered her. My financial advisors normally composed face twists with each new tab I open. Jenna, I've managed accounts for 30 years, and I've never seen systematic family exploitation this organized. She taps the screen, where I've highlighted the vacation home payments. They told you they couldn't afford the taxes but wouldn't sell it. While maintaining a trust fund for my brother, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Yes. The forensic accountant I hired sits quietly on my sofa, his laptop balanced on his knees as he imports the statements I've emailed. His fingers never stop moving, building a paper trail I'll need if this moves beyond family drama to legal action. The total is actually worse than I thought. Marion swivels my center monitor toward me. $125,412 over 6 years. The number sits stark against the white background. 6 figures. Enough for a down payment on my own vacation home. Enough to have taken an actual vacation instead of funding family trips I wasn't invited to join. My phone buzzes again, skittering across the table. This time I glance down. Tyler, my car payment was declined. I can't get to work without it. A laugh escapes me, sharp enough to make both professionals glance up. 6 days ago, Tyler posted a selfie with his new designer watch. $1,800 of Italian craftsmanship on the wrist of a man who now claims he can't make his car payment. I open my email, needing to document everything. A new message from my mother sits at the top of my inbox, the subject line all capitals. Please read immediately. Jenna, we might lose the vacation home. Is that what you want? Your father is beside himself. All these years we've supported you. And this is how you repay us? Please reconsider what you're doing to this family. Mom, supported me? I click over to Instagram, scrolling to find the proof I need. There it is, a photo from last summer. My parents and Tyler lounging on the deck of the vacation home I've been paying taxes on for years. The home I've never been invited to use. Save that, the accountant says, noticing my screen. We'll include it in the visual evidence section. My voicemail icon flashes. 3 new messages. I select the first one, putting it on speaker. You're being selfish, Jenna. My father's voice fills the room, tension vibrating in every syllable. This family has always supported you. Your mother is beside herself. You need to remember where your loyalties lie. Call us immediately. Always supported you? Marion's eyebrows arch as she pulls up another spreadsheet. According to these comparison charts I've drafted, your financial contributions to the family over 6 years total, $125,412, while documented support received from them is. She squints at the screen, exactly $0. Add the trust fund document here, I tell her, sending over the scanned copy I'd made before leaving my parents' house. Highlight the date it was established. The document appears on her screen. Key sections now marked in yellow: established date, amount, and sole beneficiary. Tyler Sullivan. The date coincides with my 2nd year of college, when I was working 2 jobs while being told the family couldn't help with tuition. My phone rings again. Unknown number. I almost decline it until something makes me answer. Jenna, it's Aunt Rebecca. My father's sister. We've never been close. Your father isn't telling us the whole story, is he? Her voice sounds carefully neutral. He sent an email to the entire extended family for Sunday. Says you've abandoned your responsibilities. I pull up my email on the 3rd monitor. There it is, forwarded by a cousin who clearly thought I'd already seen it. Emergency family meeting Sunday at 2 p.m. Jenna's abandonment of her responsibilities must be addressed. Attendance mandatory for all Sullivan family members. He's gathering the extended family to turn them against you. Aunt Rebecca continues. I thought you should know. After we hang up, a text comes through from Dr. Winters, my therapist who agreed to an emergency session this morning. Remember what we discussed, Jenna. Family obligation doesn't mean financial exploitation. Setting boundaries isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. See you at 10. A knock at my door startles me. It's nearly 3 in the morning. Who would... Jenna? Claire's voice carries through the door. I saw your lights on from the street. I brought Thai food. My oldest friend stands in the hallway, holding a plastic bag that smells of lemongrass and garlic. Her hair is piled messily on top of her head. Yoga pants and sweatshirt suggesting she was home for the night when she decided to check on me. Sorry to barge in, she says as I step aside to let her enter. She stopped short at the sight of my late-night financial war room. Whoa. Marion and the accountant excused themselves after quick introductions, promising to email their completed findings tomorrow. As the door closes behind them, Claire places the food on my kitchen counter and turns to me. I always thought something was off with how they treated you, she says, pulling containers from the bag. The way your parents talked about money around you versus how they spent it on Tyler. You saw it before I did. I reached for plates in the cabinet. Why didn't you say something? Would you have believed me? She hands me a container of pad thai. Family blinds us. We defend them even when they're bleeding us dry. My email chimes from my laptop, Michael from work, responding to my late-night message asking for legal advice. Happy to look over everything pro bono. Family financial exploitation is more common than you think. My sister went through something similar last year. Send me what you have, and we'll build an ironclad case. The accountant has already sent his first draft of professional document with sections for each category of financial support I've provided. Bank statements organized chronologically. Comparison charts showing the imbalance of family contributions. Photos of the vacation home pulled from social media, with timestamps proving I was funding a property I never enjoyed. And the trust fund document, with highlighted sections showing it was established when I was struggling through college without family help. I scroll through it all, each page stoking the resolve burning inside me. They're trying to control the narrative, I tell Claire, something hardening inside me. Gathering the family as witnesses to my supposed betrayal. What are you going to do? Claire asks, setting down her fork. I straighten my shoulders, decision crystallizing. If they want a family meeting, they'll get one. But this time, they'll hear the whole truth. I download the evidence dossier, send it to a 24-hour print shop with instructions for binding, and close my laptop with a decisive click. Then they should hear the whole truth. The cursor on my screen blinks steadily, like a heartbeat growing stronger with each pulse. I drive up the winding gravel driveway to the vacation home I've never been invited to stay in. The cedar-sided retreat sits nestled among towering pines, its wide deck overlooking the lake I've only seen in the photos my mother posts on social media. 6 years of property taxes have come from my account, yet this is my first time passing through its gates. My hands tighten on the steering wheel as I park behind a row of familiar vehicles. Uncle Michael's silver SUV, Aunt Rebecca's sensible sedan, Cousin Jessica's compact. The family tribunal has assembled exactly as Tyler warned me they would. I check my reflection in the rearview mirror, cool, composed, prepared. The evidence portfolio sits on the passenger seat, bound in professional navy leather. 6 years of financial records transformed into indisputable proof. I grab it and step out into the crisp autumn air, allowing myself one deep breath before climbing the stairs to the deck. Through the window, I see them, the extended Sullivan family arranged like jurors in a courtroom. My father stands at the head of the great room, hands planted on the back of an armchair like a prosecutor, preparing his opening statement. My mother sits nearby, eyes red-rimmed, tissues clutched in her hand, a performance I now recognize from years of watching her manipulate emotions. Tyler leans against the stone fireplace, arms crossed tightly, gaze fixed on the polished hardwood floor. When I open the door, the conversation cuts off abruptly. 12 pairs of eyes turn toward me. Jenna, my father's voice carries the practiced steadiness of someone who's rehearsed his lines. We were just discussing your situation. I don't respond, just close the door behind me with a decisive click that echoes through the suddenly silent room. The weight of the portfolio in my hands feels like armor. Please, take a seat. He gestures to an isolated chair positioned like an interrogation target. I remain standing. I'll stand for now, thank you. My father clears his throat and surveys his assembled audience, making sure all attention is focused where he wants it. As I was explaining to everyone, Jenna has always been blessed with financial success while the rest of us struggled. His voice takes on the patronizing tone he reserves for explaining things he believes others couldn't possibly understand. She's forgotten how this family supported her through college, helped her get established in her career. A laugh escapes me before I can stop it, sharp and humorless. Is something funny, Jenna? My father's eyes narrow. Actually, yes. The fiction you're creating is almost impressive. I set my portfolio on the coffee table, but don't open it yet. Tyler pushes away from the fireplace. I always looked up to her, but now she's abandoned us. The words sound rehearsed, hollow. He can't quite meet my eyes as he speaks, just when Mom and Dad need her most. I notice Aunt Rebecca's eyebrow arch skeptically. She's always been the family pragmatist, the one who asks uncomfortable questions at holiday dinners. Her eyes lock with mine for a moment, not hostile, but assessing. My father continues building his case. Jenna has decided that family obligation means nothing, that the sacrifices we made— What sacrifices exactly? I interrupt, my voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through me. I'd like to hear specifically what sacrifices you made for me. He falters for a moment, then recovers. We gave you everything. I think it's time we all looked at the actual numbers. I open the portfolio and begin distributing the bound financial summaries I've prepared done for each family member. The methodical sound of papers sliding across the coffee table punctuates the tense silence. My father moves to intercept them. This isn't necessary. It's completely necessary. I press a button on my phone, and the portable projector I positioned earlier flickers to life, casting a spreadsheet onto the living room wall. I've paid $125,000 to support this family over 6 years, while a $400,000 trust fund was hidden from me. The gasps are audible. Uncle Michael picks up his summary, adjusting his reading glasses to examine the figures more closely. These are. He looks up at my father. Is this true, Robert? My father's face flushes crimson. You're taking things out of context. The context is quite clear. I tap the screen, advancing to the next slide. Property taxes on this vacation home. Tyler's car payments. Mom's supposed medical expenses that weren't covered by insurance. Family vacations I funded but was too busy working to attend. Aunt Rebecca rises from her seat and moves beside me, taking in the projected figures. My God, Robert, what have you been doing? My mother's carefully crafted tears dry up as she realizes her performance isn't working. Real panic flashes across her face as the room's sympathies visibly shift. Tyler's face burns with shame as the slide detailing his expenses appears. 3 car payments. Graduate school application fees for programs he never completed. Monthly allowance disguised as temporary help while he found himself. Jenna, you don't understand. My mother attempts. We never meant. You meant exactly this. I advance to the final slide. The trust fund document enlarged to show every detail. You meant to use me while protecting Tyler. You meant to drain my citing this. Uncle Michael stands, his tall frame imposing as he turns to my father. I trusted you with Dad's inheritance. This isn't what he would have wanted. My father doesn't respond. He snatches his coat from the rack and storms out, the front door slamming behind him hard enough to rattle the windows. The silence that follows feels like the aftermath of a storm. Then Aunt Rebecca sits beside me on the arm of my chair, her hand coming to rest on my shoulder in silent support. One by one, extended family members approach with variations of the same message. We had no idea. We're so sorry. We believed them. My mother's face crumples, not in performance but in genuine distress, as her carefully constructed narrative collapses around her. For the first time, I see real tears, not the tactical ones she's deployed throughout my life. Tyler steps forward, hands shoved deep in his pockets. I didn't know how much you were paying, I swear, Jenna. I knew about the trust, but Dad said it was from Grandpa, specifically for me, and that he struggles, that you had your own. Don't. I hold up my hand. Not now. Aunt Rebecca squeezes my shoulder. What do you want from them, Jenna? Restitution? I look around at the family members who've been misled about me for years, at my mother who can't meet my eyes, at Tyler who looks like he might be sick. I stand, gathering my materials with deliberate calm. I'm not asking for the money back. The words come out stronger than I feel. I'm setting myself free. For the first time, in 6 years maybe, in my entire life, I stand taller than the weight of Sullivan family expectations. When financial manipulation is exposed, families often fragment along unexpected lines. The fallout from my revelation continues in ways nobody predicted, least of all my brother Tyler, whose next move will completely transform the family dynamic. I've spent the week in a strange, peaceful limbo. My apartment feels different, somehow not physically changed, but as if the air itself has lightened. For the first time in years, I wake without immediately checking my phone for desperate financial texts from my family. No urgent calls about overdue bills. No voicemails from my father. No carefully worded requests from my mother. Freedom, I realize, isn't just financial. It's the weight that's been lifted from my chest. I sip my morning coffee by the window, watching the city below come alive. The notification appears on my phone with a soft chime. Account authorization terminated, Sullivan Lake House Management. They've removed my access to the family accounts. I should feel insulted. Instead, a smile tugs at my lips. Let them figure out their own financial mess. The emails from extended family have been pouring in since Sunday's confrontation. Uncle Michael sent a lengthy apology for believing my father's narrative all these years. Cousin Sarah shared her own story of manipulation smaller scale, but the same tactics. Even my grandmother called, her voice wavering with something between shame and pride. And then, the text I never expected. Can we talk? Alone? Tyler? I stare at my brother's message for a full 5 minutes before responding with an address and time. Not my home. I'm not ready to let him into my sanctuary, but a neutral coffee shop downtown. I arrived 20 minutes early to secure the corner table with its back to the wall and clear view of the entrance. Old habits. I order a black coffee and wait, watching the door with a steadiness I don't feel. When Tyler walks in, I almost don't recognize him. My perfectly polished younger brother looks disheveled. His usually styled hair sticks up at odd angles. His designer shirt is wrinkled. Dark circles shadow his eyes, making him look older than 30. He spots me and freezes for a moment before approaching with uncharacteristic hesitation. He doesn't order anything. "Jenna," he says, sliding into the seat across from me. "Tyler." The silence stretches between us like a tightrope. Neither of us seems willing to take the first step. "You look like hell," I finally observe, wrapping my hands around my coffee mug. He attempts a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Haven't been sleeping much." Another silence. His fingers drum nervously on the table, a habit from childhood that appears when he's truly stressed. "I don't know how to start this," he admits. "Try the beginning." He swallows hard, then reaches into his messenger bag and pulls out a folder. His hands shake slightly as he slides it across the table. Cautiously, I open it, half expecting another betrayal. Instead, I find bank statements. Recent ones. Large withdrawals and a payment confirmation to the county tax assessor's office. "You paid the lake house taxes," I say, looking up at him. He nods, his eyes finally meeting mine. "It was never right that you were paying them." "I never knew how much you were contributing while I took from the trust fund," Tyler says, his voice barely above a whisper. "Dad always made it sound like you were just helping out occasionally." I say nothing, letting him continue. "I felt entitled to everything. The trust fund, the support, all of it." He runs his hand through his already messy hair. "I judged you for being so independent while I was taking everything I could get." I take a sip of coffee, trying to process this unexpected vulnerability from my brother. "I've been meeting with the financial advisor," he continues, going through all the accounts, seeing the full picture for the first time. He winces. "I was given everything you had to fight for." The words hang between us, honest in a way we've never been. "I'm sorry, Jenna." His voice cracks. "I'm truly sorry." It's the first genuine apology I've received from anyone in my family. Something tight in my chest loosens slightly. "I want to transfer 30% ownership of the lake house to you," Tyler says, pulling more papers from the folder. Legal documents already prepared. I blink in surprise. "What?" "You've paid for it for years. You should own part of it." I stare at the paper's official transfer documents with spaces for signatures. "Did Dad approve this?" I ask, already knowing the answer. Tyler laughs, a short, bitter sound. "Number. It's my name on the deed, too. The trust fund bought half of it when I turned 25. I don't need his permission." I scan the documents slowly, looking for a catch, a trap, some hidden manipulation. "You don't have to decide right now," he says, watching my hesitation. "Take the papers, review them with your lawyer." My skepticism must show on my face. "I know you don't trust me," he adds quietly. "You shouldn't. I haven't earned it." I close the folder, neither accepting nor rejecting his offer. "Why now, Tyler?" He looks down at his hands. "Because I never had to work for anything in my life until this week. And I've never seen Dad as clearly as I did when he started calling me a traitor for paying the taxes myself. For the first time in our adult lives, I glimpse what a real relationship with my brother might look like. Dad's fury arrives via 11 missed calls and a voicemail, so rage-filled I delete it halfway through. Mom's approach is softer, tentative text suggesting family healing and moving forward together. I leave both unanswered. Word spreads quickly through the extended family. Aunt Rebecca calls to tell me she's proud of Tyler for finally growing up. Uncle Michael emails to say we should all go to the lake house together this summer, since you're both owners now. When my brother texts me a screenshot of Dad's latest threat to cut him off financially, I respond with a simple, "You'll survive." I did. His reply comes a minute later. "I know. Maybe you can teach me how." Something fundamental has shifted. The balance of power in the Sullivan family has permanently altered. And for the first time, I'm not facing them alone. The gift basket arrives at exactly 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. Premium chocolates, imported cheeses, a bottle of Pinot Noir my father's transparent attempt at luxury bribery. The cream-colored card tucked between cellophane and ribbon displays his precise handwriting. Family reconciliation dinner. Vincenzo's, Saturday at 7 p.m. Complete honesty going forward. I trace my finger over complete honesty, the irony burning like acid reflux. Vincenzo's, where we celebrated every Sullivan milestone until I became the family ATM. The restaurant where my parents announced Tyler's college acceptance while ignoring my promotion. The place where my father once proclaimed, "Family is everything," while secretly establishing a trust fund that excluded me. My phone buzzes with Tyler's text. "Got the basket too. We need to talk first." 3 hours later, we sit in my apartment, sunlight streaming through windows onto the list I've drafted. Tyler studies it, his expression uncharacteristically serious. Mandatory family therapy? He taps that line with his index finger. Dad will explode. That's non-negotiable. I adjust my posture, spine straight against the chair back. If they want any relationship with me, they need to understand why what they did was wrong. Tyler nods slowly. The vacation home transfer helped, but it's not enough, is it? It's a start. I take a sip of water, my throat suddenly dry. But money isn't the real issue anymore. My therapist's words echo in my mind. This dinner isn't about forgiveness, it's about establishing who controls the narrative going forward. Tyler leans forward. What if they refuse your terms? Then we leave. The simplicity of my response surprises even me. 6 months ago, I couldn't imagine setting ultimatums with my parents. Now I can't imagine not doing so. We, Tyler repeats, a hint of a smile forming. United Front? I nod. United Front. Vincenzo's private dining room smells like garlic and old memories. Crystal chandeliers cast honeyed light across white tablecloths. My father adjusts his tie repeated nervous tell I've never seen before. My mother's eyes widen when I walk in, genuine relief washing over her face. She half rises from her chair, then hesitates, uncertain of her welcome. Tyler enters behind me, his hand briefly touching my shoulder, our agreed signal that he remembers our strategy. You came. My father's smile stops at his mouth, never reaching his eyes. We were beginning to worry. Traffic? I lie. Though the real reason was sitting in my car for 10 extra minutes, rehearsing my boundaries while gripping the steering wheel. A server pours water into crystal glasses. The quiet clink of ice cubes punctuates the silence stretching between us. My father clears his throat. Jenna, Tyler, your mother, and I have given the past few months considerable thought. Here it comes, I think. Watching him slide into the performance I've witnessed countless times, the reasonable patriarch resolving family squabbles. Family misunderstandings happen, he continues, his voice measured and practiced. Perhaps we haven't communicated as clearly as we should have about financial matters. My mother reaches across the table, not quite touching my hand. We just want to move forward together, as a family. I watch her eyes fill with tears, the same tears that once convinced me to write checks for emergencies that funded Tyler's lifestyle. The performance that silenced my questions for 6 years. Tyler shifts beside me. I sense his discomfort, the script deviating from what he expected. My father continues, the trust was always meant to benefit both of you eventually. It was simply structured. I'm not here to pretend it didn't happen. My voice cuts through his explanation like shears through ribbon. I'm here to establish how things will be from now on. The silence that follows feels like the moment before lightning strikes. I remove a folded document from my purse and place it on the table between us. These are my terms for moving forward. My father stares at the paper as if it might bite him. Your terms? Yes. I unfold it and slide it toward them. 4 conditions. My mother picks it up with trembling fingers. My father leans in to read over her shoulder, his complexion darkening with each line. Complete financial separation, he sputters. What exactly does that mean? It means I won't contribute to family expenses unless we've discussed and agreed upon them in advance, with clear terms for repayment. I maintain eye contact despite the urge to look away. It means no more last-minute emergencies that become my financial responsibility. My mother's lips press into a thin line. Family helps family, Jenna. Yes, I agree, but help goes both ways. Which brings me to condition 2 mandatory family therapy before any discussion of trust restoration. My father's hand flattens against the table. We don't need some stranger telling us. 3. I continue as if he hadn't spoken. Equal treatment between siblings going forward. Any financial assistance, gifts, or support offered to one must be offered to both. Tyler straightens beside me, his presence a silent affirmation. And finally, public acknowledgement of the past favoritism to the extended family. No more pretending I've been an equal beneficiary of family support. My father's face hardens into granite. This is ridiculous. You can't dictate. I'm not dictating how you treat family. I clarify, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. I'm dictating the conditions under which I remain part of this one. My mother's hand covers her mouth. My father's knuckles whiten around his water glass. In the silence that follows, I realize something fundamental has shifted. For decades, they've held all the power in our family. Now, watching them process the reality that these aren't suggestions but requirements, I understand they're experiencing something entirely new in our relationship. The awareness that they might lose me forever. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm not afraid of that possibility. 6 months. That's how long it's been since I tore up that property tax check and walked away from my family's web of lies. The summer sun warms my shoulders as I step onto the deck of the vacation home, at least partially. The deed in my name for the 30% ownership Tyler transferred to me sits framed in my apartment office. I run my fingers along the weathered railing, feeling the grain of wood I've paid for over years, but never touched until 2 months ago. Tyler emerges from inside, 2 glasses of lemonade in hand. Dad's stuck in traffic, he says, passing me a glass. Mom's already setting up inside. The Tyler before me is nearly unrecognizable from the entitled man-child who'd scroll through his phone while I drained my savings. His expensive watch is gone, replaced by a basic fitness tracker. He's even wearing a shirt that's seen better days, not from neglect, but actual use. How was your meeting with Davidson? Tyler asks, leaning against the railing. Productive. I can't help the small smile that forms. My portfolio expansion is on track. No more family safety net draining my future. The weight that's lifted from my shoulders is visible even in my posture. My investment advisor commented on it last week, how I stand taller now, how my voice carries more confidence when discussing my financial goals. The plans for my own vacation property in the mountains are nearly finalized, something I would have never considered while bankrolling everyone else's dreams. I hear tires on gravel and my shoulders tense reflexively. My father's silver Lexus car I once helped pay 4 pulls in beside my practical hybrid. I straighten my spine and take a deeper breath. Remember, Tyler murmurs, he agreed to the rules. Those rules came through 6 months of excruciating family therapy. Dr. Levinson didn't flinch when my father stormed out of our 3rd session after being confronted with his blatant favoritism. She simply waited until the following week when he grudgingly returned. My mother's tears during session 5 seemed genuine for once, especially when Dr. Levinson traced the enabling patterns back to her own childhood. The generational patterns are powerful, Dr. Levinson had explained. Your grandfather did the same with your uncle. Inside, my mother arranges a vegetable platter with careful precision. When she sees me, her hands pause. The therapy has stripped away most of her performative tears. What remains is something quieter, more genuine. Jenna. She steps forward, stops herself from an automatic hug I'm not ready for, and simply nods. Thank you for hosting us today. That's new acknowledging that we're in my space, on my terms. I didn't expect this dinner to be at the vacation home until I suggested it. Testing boundaries, Dr. Levinson called it. My father enters behind me, his footsteps heavy on the hardwood. The silence between us has weight. The deck looks good, he finally says, awkwardly gesturing outside. That new stain. It's not an apology. Those came painfully, sparingly, during therapy sessions where Dr. Levinson extracted them like teeth. But it's acknowledgement of something I care about the first in decades. We move to the dining table, not mahogany, not the scene of betrayal. This one is pine, selected by Tyler and me when we renovated the main room with my partial ownership funds. So, my father says as we settle in, clearing his throat. Meridian Capital's acquisition made the business section. Your team was mentioned. I nearly dropped my fork. In 35 years, he's never voluntarily brought up my work without dismissing it. I meet Tyler's eyes briefly, see the hint of a smile. This is new territory for all of us. Yes, I reply carefully. The merger goes through next quarter. I'm overseeing the portfolio transition. That's impressive, Jenna, my mother says, and I can almost believe she means it. The conversation shifts to future plans rather than past grievances. Tyler discusses his volunteer work. My father describes a retirement timeline without once implying I should fund it. None of it would have seemed possible a year ago. After dinner, I excuse myself to the deck as they clear dishes. From my tote bag, I withdraw the leather-bound book, my family ledger, as I've come to call it. 6 years of transactions, betrayals, and receipts meticulously documented. Tomorrow I meet with the foundation director about establishing the Sullivan Women's Financial Independence Scholarship. Next week, the support group I started for adults navigating family financial exploitation will welcome 3 new members, bringing our total to 15. My boundaries remain firmly in place despite the cautious reconciliation other lesson from therapy. I open the ledger one last time, feeling its familiar weight. The breeze ruffles pages filled with my precise handwriting, numbers that once represented my family's hold over me. Some debts can never be repaid, I whisper to myself, but they can be forgiven. I close the book decisively, feeling the soft thud of pages meeting. Not forgotten, but released from its power to control me. Tyler joins me, leaning against the railing. You good? I'm getting there, I say, and for the first time in years, it's not a lie. The sun sets over the lake, painting the water in golds and purples. I leave the ledger on the deck table and walk toward the shoreline. For once, I don't calculate what this moment costs.
I spot it the moment I step into the reception hall. Something is wrong. The chandelier lights spill across the pristine white tablecloths like liquid diamonds, illuminating the rose arrangements I selected myself. Pale pink blooms nestled against sprays of baby's breath, exactly as I'd specified. The crystal glassware catches the light, throwing rainbow prisms across the walls. Everything looks perfect. Everything I planned for Sophia's wedding day stands exactly as I envisioned. Everything except the family table. My stride falters mid-step, the sound of my heels against marble suddenly loud in my ears. I count silently 1, 2, 3 chairs. 3, not 4. I blink, certain I've missed something. Mom, Dad, Sophia. 3 chairs at the family table. None for me. I stand frozen, clutching my clipboard against my chest like a shield. A waiter brushes past, murmuring an apology, but I barely register his words. The room continues its pre-reception buzz around me while I stare at that table, at the empty space where my chair should be. Mother turns, her champagne glass poised midair when she spots me. The small smile she offers doesn't reach her eyes. Ainsley, she says, my name sounding like an afterthought on her lips. Is everything prepared for Sophia's entrance? I gesture toward the table. There are only 3 chairs. Her gaze flickers briefly to the seating arrangement, then back to me, cool and untroubled. Yes, you don't need one. The words land like a physical blow. I feel my shoulders stiffen, my spine straighten in defense. I see. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Sophia appears at Mother's elbow, resplendent in the wedding gown I helped select ivory lace over champagne satin that complements her olive complexion perfectly. The head count is wrong at the family table, I say, though I already know the answer. Sophia's eyes narrow slightly, the familiar crease appearing between her brows. Maybe the staff made a mistake. Her voice holds that familiar tone, the one that suggests any inconvenience in her world must be someone else's fault. I hold her gaze for a heartbeat longer than comfortable. I understand. The words taste like ash, but I keep my voice even, my expression composed. Then I turn and walk away, my clipboard held tight against my chest, my posture perfect, every step an act of will. I find a quiet corner near the service entrance and flip through the pages on my clipboard, though I've memorized every detail of this day. My hands tremble slightly, betraying the composure I'm fighting to maintain. Just last night, I'd been in this very hall until 3 a.m, supervising the placement of each centerpiece, approving the lighting setup, ensuring everything was flawless for Sophia's big day. While the family slept in their hotel suites, I'd crawled through every inch of this venue. My phone buzzes with a text from the florist. We're only continuing because we trust you. Sophia hasn't paid us. I close my eyes briefly, remembering the moment last week when I quietly transferred $4,200 from my own account to cover the floral deposit after Sophia's card was declined. Another expense she'll never know about, another silent contribution to her perfect day. I catch my reflection in a decorative mirror mounted on the wall. Navy dress, simple, elegant, one I designed and sewed myself. Hair swept into a perfect chignon, makeup flawless. Nothing in my appearance betrays the hollowness spreading through my chest. 3 chairs. Not 4. A cluster of guests glance my way, their whispers poorly concealed behind fluttering programs. I straighten my shoulders and pretend not to notice. Your sister's wedding is beautiful. You did an amazing job. The voice startles me from my thoughts. Melissa Banks, my childhood friend from Columbus, stands beside me, genuine warmth in her eyes. Thank you, I reply, my smile practiced but genuine for her. Just doing my job. Your job? Melissa's eyebrows lift in surprise. You planned all this? I thought you just helped with the dress. Melissa's eyebrows. I shake my head. I coordinated everything. Venue, flowers, menu, music. That's incredible, she says, then lowers her voice. Though I'm surprised you're not sitting with your family. Before I can answer, another memory surfaces Mother's voice at the rehearsal dinner last night, her arm around Sophia, as she introduced her to distant relatives. This is my precious daughter, the one who will inherit everything. When Uncle Robert had asked about me, her response had been dismissive. She's busy with work, not really part of the family celebrations. Not really part of the family. I find myself in a secluded alcove, laptop balanced on my knees. My finger hovers over the send button on a crucial email. 7 days ago, I'd sent an official warning letter about unpaid invoices, professional, courteous, but clear. It had been met with complete silence. Family loyalty versus professional integrity. The eternal struggle of my existence. I stare at the screen, remembering the empty space at that table, the deliberate exclusion. 3 chairs, not 4. This ends today. 15 minutes later, I settle into a corner booth of Cafe Roma, across from the wedding venue, laptop open and a half-empty espresso growing cold at my elbow. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I pull up the family financial records I've been tracking since taking over as their event planner 3 years ago. The screen illuminates my face in the dimly lit cafe as I click through folders labeled with meticulous care. My stomach tightens when I open the mortgage statements. This can't be right, I whisper, though I know the numbers don't lie. Our family home outside Columbus, the sprawling brick colonial with white columns that my parents boasted, cost $1.2 million, now carries not 1 but 2 mortgages. The second one, taken out just 6 months ago, nearly equals the first. I pull up the credit card statements next. 4 months overdue on 3 separate accounts, minimum payments ignored, interest compounding daily. Each statement bears Sophia's signature, my mother's authorization. Then I find it the trust fund records. My fingers go still as ice forms in my chest. The Grandmother Lopez Educational Trust, established for both Sophia and me, shows a balance of $3,421. Last year at this time, it held over $240,000. A series of withdrawals, each marked S. Lopez Educational Expenses, drained it systematically over the past 8 months. The same 8 months during which Sophia planned this lavish wedding while simultaneously claiming financial hardship. My phone vibrates against the table, the screen lighting up with the florist's name, Miss Lopez. Sarah's voice trembles slightly when I answer. I hate to bother you during the wedding, but we need payment confirmation by 4 p.m. The final balance of $12,600 remains unpaid, and Miss Sophia isn't responding to our calls. Before I can respond, another text arrives from the caterer. Urgent. Credit card declined for wedding meal balance. Please advise. And another from the lighting technician. Final payment not received. Do we proceed with reception lighting? I close my eyes, remembering our childhood home with its gleaming hardwood floors and crystal chandeliers. The Christmas, when 12-year-old Sophia unwrapped a purebred show horse, while I received a department store gift card. The summer she toured Europe while I worked double shifts at the local diner. College acceptance letters arrived for both of us the same week. Sophia's came with my parents' promise of a fully furnished apartment near campus. Mine came with loan applications. We believe in you, Ainsley, Dad had said, his hand on my shoulder. You're the responsible one. You'll manage just fine. I signed those papers alone in my bedroom, $40,000 in student loans, with interest rates I barely understood. The monthly payments still arrive like clockwork, eating into my Brooklyn rent budget while Sophia's credit card statements arrive at our parents' address. My fingers trace the screen, following the trust fund withdrawals backward in time. Each coincides perfectly with Sophia's social media posts. Aspen ski vacation, Bermuda holiday, Mediterranean cruise, educational expenses indeed. A forgotten memory surfaces, last Thanksgiving dinner, mother raising her glass, to Sophia's new position at the gallery. No mention of my company's expansion to international clients. No acknowledgement of the award I'd received the previous month. My phone buzzes with a text from Marco, the hotel manager I've worked with for years. Is everything all right? We noticed you weren't seated with family. Before I can reply, a message arrives from Janine, the photographer who's captured every major event I've planned for the past 5 years. I've worked with you for years. What do you need? Just say the word. Then another from the DJ, the videographer, the cake baker, all professionals I've built relationships with, all expressing concern not for the bride but for me. 3 days ago floods back into my memory with perfect clarity. I'd arrived early at the venue, organizing place cards, when I overheard Mother on her phone in the adjacent room. Prepare 3 seats only. She'd instructed someone. Ainsley doesn't count as family. She's just the help. The words had pierced me, but I'd pushed the pain aside, focusing instead on ensuring Sophia's centerpieces arrived on time. Now I open Instagram, where Sophia's latest post glows on the screen. So blessed to have the perfect family supporting my perfect day. I've planned every detail myself. Attached is a photo of my carefully crafted seating arrangement, with my handwriting visible on the table cards. I close my eyes, weighing family loyalty against self-respect. The empty chair at the family table. The drained trust fund. The years of dismissal disguised as praise for my independence. Mother's words echo. Ainsley doesn't count as family. With steady hands, I sign the digital document I'd prepared 7 days ago. A formal notification of service withdrawal due to non-payment, effective immediately. My company logo sits at the top, professional and impersonal. Family respects family, I whisper to the empty cafe. This isn't respect. I press send, then systematically forward copies to every vendor still awaiting payment. With each click, the weight of obligation lifts from my shoulders, replaced by something unfamiliar, the lightness of choosing myself for the very first time. My phone begins to light up with responses. I silence it, close my laptop, and finally take a sip of my cold espresso. It tastes like freedom. 10 minutes later, back at the venue, I spotted Sophia first. Her veil catches the light as she weaves between tables, desperation radiating from her perfect posture. Her eyes lock on mine across the reception hall, and for a heartbeat, I see genuine fear flicker across her face. Ainsley! Her voice carries a tremor I've never heard before. What's happening? The bar just closed and the hotel manager is asking about payment. Fix this. I close my laptop with a soft click. 7 days. I gave them 7 days to address the unpaid invoices. 7 days of silence. I've withdrawn my company's master account guarantee, I say, my voice steady. The hotel requires immediate payment now. Sophia's face crumples. Not with gratitude for the thousands I've already covered, but with entitled outrage. What are you talking about? You can't just... I can. I did. The words come easily, surprising me with their strength. Every vendor received notice of service suspension 10 minutes ago. Behind her, the reception dissolves into confusion. The string quartet packs their instruments mid-song. Waiters remove half-filled champagne glasses. At the center of it all stands my mother, credit card extended toward an apologetic hotel manager, her expression transitioning from bewilderment to fury as her card is declined. My father hovers nearby, attempting another card, then another. His shoulders slump with each shake of the manager's head. For the first time in my life, I see him look small. The photographer Renee, who I've worked with for years, catches my eye from across the room. She gives me a subtle nod before turning her camera toward the family's panic, documenting the unraveling of their perfect facade. I stand, straightening my navy dress. The clipboard I've clutched all day transforms from a symbol of service into something more powerful, a shield, a weapon, a declaration of independence. Each step I take toward the center of the room feels momentous, as if I'm crossing not just a reception hall but a threshold in my life. The hotel manager spots me and immediately straightens his tie. Miss Lopez, thank you for coming over. I have the contracts right here as you requested. Beside him, my mother's eyes narrow to dangerous slits. What is she talking about? We hired her company. She works for us. Actually, the manager says, his tone professionally polite but cool toward her. Miss Lopez's event planning firm is one of our most valued partners. Her company's master account guarantee was the only reason we proceeded without full payment upfront. The shift is immediate, and visible staff who had been solicitous toward my family now direct their attention to me. Glasses of water appear for me, not them. Chairs are pulled out for my convenience, not theirs. The power dynamic tilts with dizzying speed. Sophia grabs my arm, her acrylic nails digging into my skin. "Please don't do this," she whispers, her voice dropping to a desperate plea. "You'll ruin everything for me. Just this one day, my wedding day." For a moment, I waver. Deep beneath the anger and hurt, I still remember building blanket forts with her when we were children, before our parents' favoritism became her birthright. A tiny flicker of my inherent kindness surfaces, urging me to relent. My mother senses this hesitation. She strides forward, designer heels clicking against marble, her face arranged in the artificial confidence I've seen her deploy at Columbus Country Club gatherings when the Lopez family reputation needed defending. "She won't dare," she says, voice pitched to carry to nearby guests. "Ainsley has always been just a shadow in this family. She knows her place." The words sink into me like stones into still water, creating ripples that cannot be called back. A shadow. Just a shadow. I watch my own transformation reflected in my mother's eyes, as her confidence falters. The clipboard in my hands no longer trembles. "What's happening?" A wedding guest murmurs nearby. "Are they not paying?" "The sister planned everything," another whispers. "Apparently they never paid her company." I reach for the document the hotel manager extends, taking the pen from his hand. My signature flows across the suspension confirmation with the calm precision that has built my reputation in this industry. The looping letters of my name represent not just my identity, but my worth. "I gave you 7 days to pay," I say, my voice measured and clear. "You ignored me. I'm simply enforcing the contract." My father steps forward, his face pale. "Ainsley, please. We can discuss this privately." "Like you discussed removing my chair from the family table?" I open my professional folder, removing the document I discovered 3 days ago. "Or, perhaps we should discuss how Sophia drained the trust fund, where I was also a beneficiary." Gasps ripple through the gathering crowd. Sophia's new husband stares at her with dawning horror. "That money was meant for both of us." I continue. $40,000 that could have paid off my student loans I had to take, because every penny of family support went to her. If you want to gather well, if you want a family support went to her. My mother's face hardens. "You have no proof." I push the bank statements toward her. "I have documentation of every withdrawal, every transfer." LMN. Sophia's tears transform from manipulation to genuine panic. Her mascara tracks dark rivers down her cheeks. "They told me you wouldn't mind," she whispers, "that you never expected anything from the family anyway." For the first time, I see the truth plain on their faces. They never valued me, never would. The empty chair wasn't an oversight, it was a statement. I close my folder and tuck it under my arm. The weight lifts from my shoulders as I straighten to my full height. "I may not count as family," I say, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, "but I count as a professional, and professionals get paid." I turn my back on their stunned faces and walk toward the exit. Behind me, I hear the distinct sound of my sister's perfect day collapsing, the murmur of scandalized guests, the click of Renee's camera capturing it all, the beginning of arguments that will never end. With each step, the invisible chains of obligation and hope fall away. By the time I reach the grand doorway, I am lighter than I've been in years. The afternoon sunlight catches me as I step outside, warm on my face. For the first time in my life, I feel the full power of standing in my own light, not as a shadow, but as myself. Half an hour later, the reception hall empties like water down a drain. Guests clutch gift bags to their chests and whisper as they hurry toward the exits. Where just an hour ago crystal stemware clinked with celebratory toasts, now waitstaff stack unused champagne flutes onto rolling carts. The white roses I selected with such care droop in their vases, petals beginning to fall like snow onto abandoned place settings. I stand in the shadows near the service entrance, watching. Sophia's new husband, Mark, paces near the half-cut wedding cake, phone pressed to his ear, his face twisted in confusion. The 6-tier creation I spent weeks designing with the baker stands partially dismantled, the bride and groom topper listing sideways at an undignified angle. The wedding coordinator, whom I hired as my stand-in when I realized I'd be attending as family, approaches an elderly couple with an apologetic smile. "I'm so sorry, but there's been a financial situation with the hosting family. The reception is concluding early." My mother's church friends huddle in a tight circle, eyes darting toward Vivian, who sits alone at that 3-chair table, back rigid, staring at nothing. Some small, wounded part of me wants to feel victorious. Instead, I just feel hollow. Later that evening, I kicked off my heels in my apartment, still wearing the navy dress I sewed myself. The contrast between this modest space and the opulent Columbus Country Club strikes me anew. My fingers trace the worn arm of my second-hand sofa, a far cry from the antique Louis XIV furniture. Mother insists completes their living room. My phone lights up for the 19th time. Father. Sophia. Mother. Sophia again. The wedding planner. Mark. Mother. Father. I watch the notifications stack up, each one a tiny hammer against my resolve. Then, with 3 deliberate taps, I block each family number. The silence that follows feels like the first full breath I've taken in years. A bottle of Veuve Clicquot waits in my refrigerator, a gift from a grateful client that I'd been saving for a special occasion. If today doesn't qualify, nothing will. The cork pops with a satisfying thunk against my ceiling. To professional integrity, I whisper to my empty apartment, raising my glass in a solo toast. My laptop screen glows in the dimness. I open my banking app and wince at the balance. Then I start making calls. "Carolyn? It's Ainsley Lopez. Yes, about today's wedding." "I know, and I'm so sorry you were caught in the middle." I take a breath. "I'll cover your outstanding balance personally. This isn't your fault." I repeat this conversation with the small florist who stayed open late, arranging boutonnieres, the family-owned bakery that created the towering cake, and the string quartet whose music was cut short. By the time I finish, my credit card carries an additional $14,000 in charges. "We always knew we could trust you, Miss Lopez," the florist says, relief evident in her voice. "That's why we continued despite the payment issues." "Professional integrity matters more than family ties sometimes," I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. My laptop chimes with new email notifications. The subject lines tell their own story. Notice of default. Second mortgage payment. Lopez family residence. Columbus Business Journal. Local family faces multiple lawsuits. A quick glance at social media shows Sophia has changed her relationship status to "It's complicated." Below it, a hastily written post. "Anyone need a slightly used wedding dress?" DM for details. Another email from the church secretary confirms mother's resignation from the parish board due to personal circumstances. Father's email sits unopened in my inbox. Subject: urgent financial advice needed. I delete it without reading. I open my contacts and methodically delete my emergency contact information. The field sits empty, cursor blinking in the void. After a moment's hesitation, I type the name of my therapist instead. My finger hovers over a folder of family photos on my phone. Delete them? The childhood memories, holiday gatherings, even the painful ones, they chart the path that brought me here. Instead of erasing them, I create a new album labeled "What I Overcame" and move them there. In my journal, I write a single line. The empty chair wasn't a rejection, it was direction. I curl up on my window seat, watching the city's lights flicker against the night sky. Tomorrow will bring consequences I can't predict. There will be anger, perhaps legal threats, certainly emotional manipulation, but tonight, for the first time since I can remember, the knot in my stomach has loosened. The weight on my shoulders has lifted. My apartment feels not small, but sufficient. Not lonely, but peaceful. Sometimes the most powerful seat at the table is the one you walk away from. 2 days after the wedding catastrophe, the news article appeared on my tablet during breakfast. Lopez family home enters foreclosure. I stare at the Columbus Dispatch headline. The words stark against the white background. My coffee cools beside my untouched bagel as I scroll through the article detailing my family's financial collapse. An email notification slides in from Mrs. Peterson, my mother's bridge partner for 15 years. "Is it true about your parents moving to an apartment? Everyone at the club is talking." No. I swipe it away, only to find a LinkedIn update below it. Sofia Lopez is now seeking new opportunities in event coordination. The irony doesn't escape me, she's trying to enter my field after claiming credit for my work at her wedding. My phone buzzes with a bank notification. Lopez Family Trust. Legal proceedings initiated. The trust fund Sofia drained the one where my name existed on paper but never in practice. I place my devices face down on the table and finish my coffee. The liquid is cold now, bitter on my tongue. I don't flinch. I don't smile. I simply rinse my cup and place it in the dishwasher. My movements precise and controlled, just as they've always been. 3 weeks later, she appears without warning. I look up from my desk to find my mother standing in my office doorway, clutching her purse with white knuckles. Vivian Lopez, who once commanded rooms with her presence, looks diminished. The designer clothes replaced by department store basics. The carefully maintained blonde highlights now showing gray at the roots. "We made a terrible mistake," she says, her voice stripped of its usual authority. "We need your help." I gesture to the chair across from my desk, the irony not lost on either of us. A chair I'm offering that she once denied me. "I needed your love my entire life," I say, my voice steady. "You chose otherwise." She starts to speak, but my phone interrupts with Sofia's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, maintaining eye contact with my mother. Later, I listen to Sofia's message. "The marriage is over. He left when he found out about the money." Her voice cracks. "I didn't know how bad things were. Please call me back." That evening, a formal letter arrives from my father. His elegant handwriting covers 3 pages with apologies for past behavior, followed by a detailed request for financial assistance. The familiar patterned sentiment, followed by self-interest, makes something final settle in my chest. I arrange to meet them at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my apartment. Neutral territory. I arrive 10 minutes early and choose a corner table with clear sightlines to the door. They enter together a unit as always, but diminished now. My father's shoulders stoop forward, his once commanding presence shrunken by financial ruin. Sofia trails behind them, her left hand conspicuously bare where her 4-carat engagement ring once Saturday. Her eyes are red-rimmed, lacking the confident spark that once defined her. I don't stand when they approach. I don't offer hugs or comforting platitudes. I simply gesture to the chairs I've arranged 3 chairs, evenly spaced, directly across from mine. "Thank you for coming," I say. My mother speaks first, her fingers worrying at the strap of her purse. "We always favored Sofia because she was easier to control." The admission hangs in the air between us. "Your independence threatened us. We didn't know how to handle it." My father nods, eyes fixed on his coffee cup. "We took the path of least resistance. It was wrong." Sofia looks up, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. "They told me you owed us because you were the less lovable child." Her voice breaks. I believed them. The words should hurt. Perhaps once they would have. Now they simply confirm what I already know. "We need help getting back on our feet," my father says, pulling documents from his briefcase. "Just until we sort things out. The bank has given us 30 days to vacate. We thought perhaps your apartment." I raise my hand, stopping him mid-sentence. The debt between us isn't measured in dollars. Their expectant expressions shift to confusion, then disbelief as understanding dawns. "You can't mean," my mother begins. "I wish you well," I say, standing. "But we no longer have a relationship." My mother's face crumples, not in the performative way I've seen throughout my life, but genuinely, the facade finally breaking to reveal the woman beneath. My father sits in stunned silence, papers half removed from his case. Sofia reaches for my hand. "Please, Ainsley." I look at her fingers, the nails now unmanicured, the skin around them raw from nervous picking, and step back. "The empty chair set me free," I say quietly. "It showed me exactly where I stood with this family. I'm grateful for that clarity now." I walk toward the door, my steps measured and calm. The weight I've carried since childhood, the desperate need for their approval, the constant accommodation of their demands, falls away with each step. Behind me, I hear my mother's sobs, my father's belated calls. I don't look back. Some debts can never be repaid. Some chairs remain empty by choice. Outside, autumn sunlight warms my face. I breathe deeply, filling my lungs with crisp October air. For the first time in 33 years, I am fully, completely free. A year later, I traced my finger along the wrought iron railing of the Tuscan villa terrace, the warmth of the setting sun kissing my skin. Below me unfolds the wedding of international pop star Marissa Lawson, every detail executed with precision that would make my former self proud. The string quartet plays softly as guests in evening wear move like colorful brushstrokes across the stone courtyard. My assistant Jenna appears at my elbow, tablet in hand. "Everything's proceeding perfectly," she says, then hesitates. "Your mother called the office again. 4th time this month." I take a sip of Prosecco, the bubbles dancing across my tongue. The same answer as always. Jenna nods and slips away. I watch her coordinate with the photography team, her confidence a reflection of what I've built, a company that thrived after I walked away from family obligations to honor professional ones. The laptop on the table chimes, reminding me of my weekly therapy session. Dr. Freeman's face appears on screen, her silver-framed glasses catching the Italian sunset. "Magnificent view," she notes. "How are you feeling today?" I consider this as a server delivers fresh-cut roses to the bridal suite below. I don't regret walking away. I regret waiting so long to do it. Not even to have a team set example. And the nightmares about the wedding, still occurring? Not in months. I turn the laptop to show her the vista. I've replaced those images with better ones. Later that evening, I return to my rented apartment overlooking the Arno River. The walls display photographs not of blood relatives, but of chosen family. My business partner Thomas, laughing during our company's 5th anniversary. The vendors who stood by me when everything fell apart. My therapy group during our retreat to Vermont. My phone chimes with a text from Robert, inviting me to dinner tomorrow with friends who've become more family than my actual relatives ever were. I respond with an immediate yes. Back in Columbus, according to mutual friends, reality has transformed my family's carefully crafted image. Mother works the perfume counter at Macy's, her designer clothes replaced with a department store uniform. Sophia's divorce finalized 3 months after her husband discovered the truth about their finances. She lives in a studio apartment remarkably similar to the one she mocked me for renting during college. The irony isn't lost on me. My parents now occupy a modest 2-bedroom rental in a complex they once drove past with disdain. "Those people should try harder," Mother had commented when I was 16. Now she is those people. The following afternoon, I interview Jessica Winters, a young event planner whose resume mirrors my own beginnings, working her way through college while planning events for free to build a portfolio. "My parents think this career is beneath me," she admits, voice breaking slightly. "They wanted a doctor or lawyer." I wanted a doctor or lawyer. I lean forward. Family doesn't always see your worth. That doesn't diminish it. Her eyes drift to the framed photograph on my wall, a single empty chair beneath a chandelier. "What does that represent?" she asks. "It reminds me that sometimes not having a seat leads you to building your own table." I watch understanding dawn in her eyes. That chair was at my sister's wedding. Finding it empty was the best thing that ever happened to me. The tears that fill her eyes aren't sad ones. They're recognition. Back on the terrace that evening, I raise a silent toast to the stars appearing above Tuscany. Last month, I established the Empty Chair Foundation, providing scholarships for event planning students without family support. Yesterday, I accepted an invitation to give a TED Talk about maintaining professional integrity within personal relationships. This morning, I answered a letter from a young woman in Nebraska. "Your story helped me find my own strength." My handwritten reply was simple. "Your chair at life's table is always guaranteed." The stars reflect in my wine glass as night embraces the Italian countryside. In the glass, I see both the woman I am now and the shadow of who I once was, the daughter desperate for approval, the sister accepting scraps of affection, the professional whose family exploited her talents. I speak softly to the night sky. The empty seat at my sister's wedding wasn't a loss, it was the turning point that helped me find my rightful place in life. And for the first time in 33 years, that place feels exactly right.